and we've talked about this, and this is an excellent question. Okay.
非常好的一个问题。
Okay, and number one in our life is Jesus. Always before government, ethnic group, racial group. Always number one is Jesus.
所以第一个我们要记住的，我们是任何时候永远高举的是基督，任何的其他的国家、政府、民族族群都是在这个之外之下。
Yeah. Jesus is always above our commitment to our country. Jesus is always above commitment to our party, even our local congregation, because sometimes a local congregation can be straying from Jesus, but we have to remain faithful to Jesus. Jesus is always number one.
我们永远是要忠于耶稣，所有的其他的我们都要小心，会使我们去妥协那无论是国家，无论是我们的社区，甚至我们的教会，都有可能让我们妥协，在来高举耶稣，以耶稣为首位的这样一个信仰。
Yeah. And for almost 25 years now, Jane and I and others have talked about this, and that I have been warning the Chinese church that if the Chinese church continues to imitate the weak church in America, then even if communism went away, that the Chinese culture, the Chinese government, and the Chinese church would be as weak as the American church.
所以他在过去的20年的里面，跟我们的中国的同工一起来推动圣经世界观的这样的一个认识，在20年的里面，他一直的提醒、警告中国教会如果中国教会是模仿西方的这种软弱的教会，不是高举基督的，不是一个真正有圣经世界观的，那即便以后中国变化了，无论是这个政治的形势的变化，无论是社会的变化，无论是那中国的教会也会像今天的美国一样，是非常的软弱的，不能产生真正的历史时代社会的影响。
So America is a divided country.
今天美国已经不是一个联合的合众国了，是一个就像耶稣所说的自家相争的这样一个国家了。
Yeah. So there are many people in America are fully committed to Jesus in the biblical worldview.
有很多的美国的基督徒仍旧是委身于圣经世界观和高举耶稣。
And that worldview is reflected, just as we talked about with Joyce's question, that architecture is the result of the belief. And so the result of the Christian belief can be seen in the culture, but we also have those who are naturalist in their worldview, and we are beginning to see the fruit of that worldview in our culture as well.
今天我们可以看到，在美国有一个有这个圣经世界观的这一些的影响社会的、影响文化的这种的后果，这种的表现出来。同时，我们也可以看到越来越多的有一些无神的、反神的这样的自然主义的世界观出来。也表现在社会文化政策各个的方面。
The American church is facing a crisis that is huge, and this is going to be the same crisis is going to come to the Chinese church, and it's a question as to whether the Chinese church will be as prepared as the American church.
那今天美国的教会和社会是遇见了从来没有过的巨大的一个危机和挑战，这样一个巨大的危机和挑战，很快就会临到中国教会。 问题是中国教会有没有真正认识到和准备好。
Two things are hitting the American church very, very hard. The
因为
first one,
因为美国的教会有2个重大的打击临到美国的教会。
okay, number one is the postmodern philosophy that says truth does not exist.
第一个呢，就是后现代主义是宣称没有真理。
I'm here to tell you truth exists, and truth is not a philosophical concept. Truth is a person. His name is Jesus.
我们今天在这里分享说，真理不断存在，而且是道成了肉身来的，他就是耶稣。
The question of whether truth exists is the biggest challenge to the church in 2,000 years.
那这个真理存不存在，是在过去的2000年当中，是在教会里面一直在挣扎的。
It has hit the church in America very hard, and there's no place that the Chinese church can run to avoid that challenge. They will have to face that same challenge.
那么美国的教会今天是遭受了这一个重大的打击，就是你可以信耶稣，但是真理其实并不存在，是吧？那么今天的中国教会，世界上没有一个角落中国教会可以逃的，总有一天，并且很快，中国教会必须面临这个问题，就是在教会里面，在传道人的里面，在基督徒的里面，就是他可能是信耶稣的，但是真理不存在。
And so the second challenge is the challenge of what's referred to as social justice.
第二个很大的挑战就是社会公义。
Okay, that Jesus does not need Karl Marx to tell him what is just.
耶稣并不需要马克思来告诉他需要一个公义，因为在美国社会公义其实就是耶稣加马克思。
The social justice movement is a communist movement that uses biblical verses to justify itself.
在美国的社会公益运动，其实就是把这个基督的信仰加上马克思主义来定义社会的公义。
So now we have young Christians and baby boomer Christians my age that are embracing the idolatry of social justice and bringing communism into the American churches.
所以在美国的教会里面有很多的基督徒他们都是基督徒但是呢，他们需要加上马克思主义和社会主义的东西来解释也来定义这个社会公义。
Satan is alive and well and working very hard in the church.
所以呢，魔鬼是真的，而且很活跃，天天盯着教会。
So, for instance, when Satan tempted Jesus in the wilderness and he said, "Turn these stones into bread," he was encouraging Jesus to be an economic Messiah that fed all the poor.
那在魔鬼在旷野试探耶稣的时候，他是让这些石头变成面包，那这个他是意思是要改变耶稣的这样的一个十字架的这样的一个受苦死而复活的这条路，要成为一个好像一个仅仅是祝福人生活的一个弥赛亚。
And so Satan is tempting Christians today that under the idea of social justice or concern for the poor, that we must embrace Marxism in order to fulfill our commitment to Jesus, and that's false.
所以现在的美国的社会公益是说我们要关爱穷人但是呢，我们必须要从马克思主义的看着人的平等、压迫、剥削等等这些的方面是圣经上没有讲的，再加上来，这个才叫社会公益。但是这个是错误的。
So this goes back to my brothers and sisters in China should see all of my brothers and sisters in America and Americans as all of us are sinners in need of God's grace and repentance.
所以中国的基督徒要如何看美国的基督徒呢？都是一样，都是罪人，需要悔改都是需要来定睛在耶稣身上。
However, the ideas that come from the Bible, such as all men being created equal, those things of American culture should be enlarged and embraced.
那在美国的独立宣言里面说的，因为人在被造的时候人人平等，这一个是应该在美国不断的被去继续的坚持和扩大持守。
One of the greatest contributions that the forefathers here in America gave to the world politically is the idea that God gives the right to life, not governments.
那在美国的这些奠基的这些先驱者，他们给人类最大的贡献，特别是对政治和政府的最大的贡献，是讲到人的生命来自于上帝，而不是来自于政府。
Yeah. God gives the right to freedom, to liberty, not governments.
所以是上帝给人有自由的，而不是政府。
God ordains the government to secure the right to life and to secure the right to liberty.
所以是上帝设立政府来保护人民的这些的权利。
Okay. And every single human being, every one of us on this call, that governments are instituted to secure for us that which came to us from the hand of God.
所以是上帝设立了政府来保护你我的这些的权利。
If the government comes and takes my life, they cannot take the right to life. Only God can take that.
即便是有政府来抢夺我的生命，但是他们不能抢夺我的生命的权利。
If the government throws me in prison because I'm a Christian, they may have taken away my liberty, but they have not taken away my right to liberty, because that right to liberty comes from the hand of God.
如果我是因为信仰的缘故被投入了监狱，虽然我失去了自由，但是我的自由的权利他们是夺不走的，因为这个只有从上帝而来。
And that is true for every human of every generation, of every race and ethnic color and tongue.
这一个真理是在所有的民族、历史、国家的里面从来没有改变过的。
Because we are all equally made in God's image and likeness.
因为我们是照着上帝的形象造的。